going on, people? Welcome to United View. Happy Friday. It's the end of the week, man. Hope you guys have had a good week. Hope you're feeling positive. Hope you're feeling good. Big up to you if you're on your journey to work, if you're getting the kids ready, if you've got the day off, if you're at the gym, if you're chilling, whatever it is you may be doing. You could be at the airport. You could be in business class, first class, watching right now. Shout out to you.
Some people could be getting into bed, different time zones. Lots of people say, I've just finished work and I'm settling down for the day. Global community flex. Think global, think big.
Think big, think big. So big up to every single one of you getting involved in the show as per usual. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. You know what the deal is by now. 250 likes straight off the bat. That is what we set down as a basic precedence, and we go from there. What we do know is that an awful lot of you waiting for the show to start as well. So we know it's going to be a good show. There's 64 likes as it is already. Let's get some of the comments read out. MT9 says, good morning, people. Mark says, Rashford. Oh, we'll get to Rashford. Franklin says, I just woke up. John James says, big up Flex and Owen. Hello, Flex and Owen. Says, man up. Morning from California. We've got in the house. Good morning, sir. Says, all elite. Trophy with top 5 charge. Says, Javid. Morning, lads. Heating on full. Where's summer? Says Avi. Oh, it's obviously cold where Avi is as well. So big up to everyone in the chat.
It was quite cold this morning. It's true. It's been quite cold the last few days, actually.
Yeah, it's been chilly. Sort of, when's this summer coming?
Yeah.
Man United 1999 comes through with the first super chat of the morning. And it says, good morning, Flex and Owen. Did you watch darts last night? Let's cheers for Luke Littler for showing 2-0 front fan at Liverpool in front of
I did see that.
Yeah,
he was getting all of the abuse and he was giving it 2-0. Good.
Yeah, brilliant.
Good.
Brilliant. 16-year-old kid or 17 he might be now.
Yeah.
Wicked. Yeah, wicked. He's a proper Redding. He's a proper Red Luke Littler. Big up Luke Littler. We got a lot to talk about this morning, man. I know that's why you're all here. Well, you're always here because you love the channel, as usual. Obviously. But Rashford has spoken again. And now he has spoken again. It's going to, spark a lot of debate and a lot of discussion amongst the fan base. And we are going to talk about it in depth. We have to. Dan Ashworth, absolute madness. He is taking Newcastle to the arbitration sport to try and get sort of a third pair of eyes on this because he doesn't feel it's been treated fair. So he's taken a massive gamble doing that. Yeah. And the Bruno hand injury as well. Supposedly broke his hand versus Coventry. Taped it up, wrapped it up, then went out there against Sheffield United, putting a good performance. And there has been obviously some other stuff on the overlap. Roy Keane has had his say on Bruno Fernandez as well as Ian Wright and others and loads of other people in the fan base. So this is a big, big show. Let's get straight into the Rashford situation, which I know is going to divide opinion.
Yeah, it is going to divide opinion. Well, it's certainly going to open up a lot of points of view, isn't it? So this happened really late last night. Well, depending on where you go to bed, of course. But this was like midnight. Marcus Rashford tweeted seemingly kind of out of nowhere. He's not very active on Twitter nowadays. And so when he does tweet, it does catch people's attention. So you can see right there, 12:36 a.m. He quote tweeted this tweet from United Paradigm saying the way Marcus Rashford is being treated is absolutely disgusting. It's cruel. It's abuse. Now, Rashford's quote tweeted this. By the way, his whole profile is like, when it's sort of blacked out. You can see there, it doesn't have a profile picture, doesn't have a Twitter banner as well. Saying, I appreciate your support. It is abuse and has been for months. Enough is enough. So obviously, Flex, it's got a lot of people talking. We're back into that debate about criticism, how that then turns into abuse. Where's the line? What's the definition? Is the criticism deserved? The abuse is never deserved. It's so. When I saw it, I'll be honest with you, Flex. When I saw it, and I saw it late last night. You know me, I'm a night owl. I saw it late last night and I sent it to you. And my initial reaction was, I kind of just went, here we go again, because Marcus Rashford at the moment is out of the spotlight as much as he can be anyway at Manchester United, and as much as Marcus Rashford can be. Out with an injury. When we played Sheffield United, there was a bit of a discourse, wasn't there, about did we play better with and without Rashford? And people were saying, our best performance, one of our better performances of the season was without Rashford. But it felt like that conversation wasn't really a massive one at the time. And then now with this, boom, right back in the spotlight, right back in the forefront of conversation. It's sort of the latest Marcus Rashford debate point in a season that's been full of them, really. You know, the overarching one has been his form. You've got the going out after the City game. You've got the Belfast thing. You've got the Players Tribune thing. You've got him being active on social media other times as well, hitting back at, you know, lies and falsehoods and things like that. And now it's this. And I looked at it in a few different ways. One, like I said, I went, Marcus, why are you doing this again? You're putting yourself in the spotlight. You're just going to, this is going to make things worse. You're stoking the fire. Two, I look at it as obviously, and I mentioned this with the Players Tribune thing before, that thing when he talks about, you know, people talking about his wealth, his cars, his family, we can pretend it doesn't happen, but it does. We've all seen the articles. Social media is a cesspool. And I don't doubt that he gets it worse than a lot of people. I mean, remember that list when it came out and he was like one of the highest profile athletes that gets those hate tweets? So I don't doubt that happens. But three, a lot of the criticism of him has been justified. He's been not good this season. He's been not good. There has been this feeling of sort of preferential treatment with him, that he's playing when he shouldn't be playing. And now when I look at a person that's tweeting at midnight when he's out of an injury, with all of this stuff that's been going on with him this season, I go, mate, you've got to get out. You've got to get out for the sake of yourself and for the sake of Manchester United. This is just becoming, I think, too much. This whole thing is becoming too much for everyone. And I think it's better off if it's a toxic relationship, isn't it? It is toxic at this point. And here we are once again. Having this debate about criticism versus abuse. We had it with Harry Maguire. We had it with Marcus Rashford several times, and now we're back once again. And it's almost eye rolling, isn't it? Of going, it's like that meme. Here we go again, and the guy's walking off. You know, that's what it's like.
Yeah. It's that was my initial thing. I mean, when you sent it to me, I didn't even see it till the morning. I was sleeping. But we know, most people know what the difference between abuse and criticism is. In this thing called social media and online and all these different social media platforms, absolutely. There are so many idiots out there who do go way beyond criticism. You're not just talking about his performances. Your agenda is clearly something else. You just don't like the guy. You don't want him to succeed. You don't think he ever should have succeeded. And you want him to continue to fail. So you start going personal. You start going beyond the criticism. But this is what, again, I push back again. I feel like a broken record because, like you said, we've had to do this before. When I done my Flex's view, because Marcus spoke about something else, I think he did it. What did he say the last time?
I think it was the Players.
Oh, the Players Tribune. Sorry, the Players Tribune. Players Tribune, which again I didn't think was very well put together. I don't think that was a good move either, by the way. And the timing of it. Yeah. You then look at that and say, well, there's many examples of players who have been in bad situations where they're getting over scrutinized. They're getting, memed. They're being treated badly in the media. The fan base has turned them, or the fans are, divided or split in opinion. There's been enough of good examples around him, especially at this club, to say what you should do versus what you shouldn't do. Now, on a personal, of course, if Marcus is going through something and he doesn't seem right, like now I'm just more worried than anything. Because like you said, at 12:30 at night, you can see when the PR Marcus Rashford thing is out there, i.e. his team has tweeted something, versus when he's just got his phone and it's late.
The tone of voice is different.
He's snapping. He's losing it. He's losing it. And to me, that is showing, that is more telling than actually his form, or why is it this, or should he leave, or should he that. I'm now actually looking at a guy from our academy who we want to do well, who we wanted to get behind the whole time, who is breaking under this pressure, under this scrutiny. In the Players Tribune thing, he literally said, I can handle it all. If you doubt me, even better. And then a few
The
weeks
quote
later,
was, "If you back me, good. If you doubt me, even better." Because it must be stressed. Some people
right?
have confused that, like saying, "You said if you criticize me, even better." And it's like, well, he didn't
Yeah,
say that. He
no,
said
he didn't
doubt.
say that.
He said
He
doubt.
said, if you doubt me,
But people
but
said at the
doubt is
time,
absolutely here.
but people at the time said, "We are doubting you.
We are
and we're
doubting
doing
you.
this."
So people are doubting him, and then since then, let's be honest. Apart from the goal against Man City, did well against Liverpool. Should have scored more, but got an important goal in the FA Cup game. But since then, there's been even more doubts. Let's just be honest. There has been, and then the Wembley against Coventry was a real bad one. Like I said, first time I've seen match going fans really do it, and you know. If you're going to come and say these things, and then a few weeks later, your quotes retweeting, and it's big up to the account and the guy's account, whoever it is, someone who's got 600 followers. And I'm not saying it's like to do with followers and who's he? I'm not saying that. But when you're sort of quote retweeting stuff that somebody said about you to kind of put your point, it comes across really badly in my opinion. If you're going to speak for me, I'm saying you have to do the Players Tribune thing is unequivocal. We won't always agree with it, but at least you've attached your name to it and said, I need to speak. I need to get stuff off my chest. It's not 12:30. It's not unorganized. It's not a quote retweet on some random account of you just saying, yeah, it is abuse. Because not everybody who is criticizing you is abusing you. You know, Harry Maguire received so much abuse. You could even really say it's worse.
To his house.
It's worse. You know, and again, you don't want to categorize people's experiences and people's pain and people's trauma. I'm not trying to do that. But at the same time, from this point of view, you do have to take that in terms of there are ways of dealing with what's going on. Harry Maguire just got his head down. He did do some silly things at some points, but it's almost like he went, I'm going to stop doing that. Because Marcus doesn't seem like he's learning from that. Like, I've done a couple of interviews, I've clapped back at a few things. Hasn't really helped. Like you said, I'm injured. Let me just stay way away. Let me just get my head down. Let me try and see the end of the season out and get to the summer and refresh my head. Go on holiday. You know, the Euros is coming up. He shouldn't be going, but he probably will. You know, let me. I like England.
That's a bit in doubt, you know, because of the players in his position. You know, and like you said, it's just like if you're a PR team, and look, he's got a lot of people around him. Yeah. You would think any good PR person, maybe he's just not listening to him at this point with this.
Yeah, it could be that as well.
But because you would just say, like I said earlier on, you're out of the spotlight now. Yeah, there'll be people talking about you after Man United play well, but they always talk about you. So okay, whatever. But you're out of the spotlight. You're not on the pitch anymore. When you hovered off at Wembley and you went through the mix zone and you got the injury, you're out of the spotlight. There is no need to put yourself firmly back in there, regardless of what your intentions are. If your intention is, no, I've had enough of this, I'm going to, because he's allowed to speak, but you'd be advised not to. When it got to like the Harry Maguire point, eventually it just got to the point where you went, mate, just don't say anything. Just don't. But you're better off not saying anything. Do whenever you do play, let your performances speak for yourself. And then, I mean, I said this at the time too. When he did that Players Tribune article, the time to do that article is when you have turned it around. When you have had a good season, you go, boom, last season, you all doubted me and you said I was rubbish, blah, blah, blah. And look where I am now. And that's because of this. And this is my story of how I got back here. It's very difficult to do those things when you are down here, you're not playing well, and sort of you're telling people, you know, the criticism of me is invalid. Now, like you said, and once again, we have to have this debate of course there is a line. Of course there is a line. And of course, if you spend 5 minutes on social media, you see habitual line steppers with people that take things way too far. They take things away from football immediately. They turn it into whatever they want to, whatever they know is offensive and will offend you and will, you know, put you even more into the ground, because that's what they do. They're haters, and it's wrong, and it does need to be fixed, and it does need to be stamped out. But you can't muddy the water and say it's everything like that, because it's not. It's not everything like that. That level of criticism of Marcus Rashford regarding football wasn't there last season. It would be from some people because some people don't rate him. But a lot of people were backing Marcus Rashford last season. Why? Because he was performing. He was performing. And when you're performing, you can do that kind of stuff. You can do those interviews. You can say people are taking it too far, blah, blah, blah. Because guess what? You've got some stock. But particularly when you're out of the spotlight and you're just going to make things worse. And again, half past midnight, that's why I said, I think I've mentioned it time and time again. I think he needs to leave for the betterment of Manchester United, because I do think, you know, as a team and as a club, probably better without him, but for himself now, because it's got to this stage now. For him, you're going, mate, this isn't looking good for you, for yourself,
but also
for your
for how
mental
he is
health,
as
for
a
your
person,
behavior.
and all we can do is go off of who he says he is and how we see him to be. None of us know him personally, but how he portrays himself and how openly he was in the Players' Tribune about his intrinsic personality. It's almost like, well, Man United's all he knows. Manchester is all he knows. Does this version of Rashford? I agree. Like it's probably best that he moves on. But it's like, what does that even look like for him? Like, can he hack that? Like, I'm genuinely like now. I'm like more generally thinking about the person, the man. Not the kid. He's a man. Like, what does it look like for him? Where does he go? Like, his stock's fallen. All he knows is, the local area and, Manchester United's everything to him. His dream of playing for Man United, whether you think it's because he hasn't tried hard enough or he's disrespected it or he doesn't remember how lucky he is, or whether he's struggling with the pressure, for one reason or another, his dream of being that guy at Man United isn't working out, having come through the academy where it's all he knows and he loves this club. Like he said, don't question my love for this club. I took 4 buses, through the city. This is all I know. Man United, he loves Man United. But he's like looking at it and like, well, the fans are against me. Most fans think I should move on. I can't find my best form. I can't play well. Then we're seeing like, are you trying hard enough? Because one thing is being out of form and missing the target and trying to go past someone and you get tackled. But what's your generic endeavor like? And this is something, again, this is why I'm like, well, only Marcus knows why he's not doing that. Like, it's not enough to just say it's because I'm quiet or you're at Man United. Unfortunately, like not just at Man United, you're a professional footballer at the highest level. Even if it was the lowest level, like if it's Sunday League or if that was Vets League, I played Vets League on Monday the other day. I'm unfit. I can't run that much. The manager even said, he's like, fucking hell, Flex, come on. Like, I can't just go, yeah, mate. Well, that is a basic requirement of football. Right.
And if you turned around, this is again, I think what rubs people the wrong way.
Why are you criticizing me?
That, and also if you then said, look, I've been around here for a long time. I've always come to this place to play. People will go, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Like, so when you go like, okay, this is my story. This is how I got here. And you go, okay, that's a great story. And I don't think anyone's questioning your endeavor to get to the point. A lot of people say, don't they? The journey to the top of the mountain, absolutely. It takes a lot of work to get there. But once you're at the top of the mountain, that means your work doesn't stop. And just because you came from the academy, that doesn't give you an excuse to walk around on the pitch.
You can't just have a pass. If anything, when the chips are down, that's when we should see more from you.
Exactly.
That's when we should see that, okay, he's in such a bad bit of form, man. He just can't hit a barn door. But look, he is running around it. He's trying his hardest. It's just not working for him. That's what Garnacho does. But Garnacho has some stinkers sometimes. Can't find a pass, overhitting the cross, running into people, can't finish. And don't get me wrong, he gets grace because he's a young player and it's only his second full season. So that's a big part of the grace. But even if you take away the age and just the attitude and the performance, he just keeps going, the kid. He just keeps going. And again, if you want to flip it, like I said, Harry Maguire was treated so badly by the nation, by the way, not just Man United fans, the nation.
Booed when he played for England.
Booed when he played for England for no reason. Booed at the Aviva Stadium in a friendly, in Ireland because he gave the ball away, and then Bilbao scored. Booed in those type of situations. And he's just calmed it down. Like, just calm down. Don't say anything. Don't say anything. And just do the talking on the pitch. And that's, for me, what I think Rashi needs to do. But it looks like I said, my biggest worry is that I'm looking at someone now that is at breaking point. The season under Ralph, Ralph, sorry, it was. When he was sort of, it looked like he needed time away, walking for that clip of him walking through the car park and turning back towards that fan. It's getting to that now. Like, he's aware. He's, after that Wembley thing, that really affected him. That really, because obviously it intensified after the Wembley situation.
Yeah.
And online, it's been crazy. And for him to snap back like that, to use somebody else saying that about him, really, really small account, just scouring Twitter at that time of night to wait to see something and go, I'm going to quote retweet that and say, yeah, you're right. It's happening for too long. Enough is enough. Also, what's coming next? Enough is enough. Are you planning on doing another interview? Are you planning on, saying something else? I don't know. What is next?
The best thing for him right now, with the injury, we don't know what other injuries he's got, of course. It might be, even despite all of the injuries that we have got, and despite big games coming up that will define our season and an FA Cup final, the best thing for him would just be, mate, for the rest of the season, you might just need to sit out. You might need to sit out. Again, if you've got any other injuries, heal up. Because, and again, that's why it was such when you saw the tweet last night, such an eye roller, because you went, you're out of the spotlight. Take this time. The scrutiny's down. You're not on the pitch every single week, when maybe sometimes you shouldn't have been anyway. But you're out of the spotlight. Now you've put yourself back into the spotlight. And it's just, and like you said, maybe enough, when he says enough's enough, that means he's going to leave in the summer, which again, I think is the best move for him. I think it's the best move for all parties at this point of time. And when and it must be stressed once again, he always has the right, and he always should come out and highlight, abuse on social media, because it is there, it is prevalent, and we can't muddy the water and say, oh, he can't talk, he can't come out and talk, he can't come out and talk and highlight. Of course he can, but at the same time, if you muddy the water and say, like, and infer that some of the discourse surrounding Marcus Rashford as a whole this season has all been abusive, it hasn't. Like that just factually is inaccurate. A lot of it has been based on his form, on his, like you said, perceived lack of effort, and then also some of his stuff off the pitch as well. That's the other part of it, isn't it? A lot of fans see the poor performances, poor form, and what have you, and then when they see like the Belfast stuff, they were sickened, because they went, I mean, it's one thing for a player that's, getting 30 goals in the league this season, dominating the league, to go out and do that, because you go, look at that big baller energy. But when you're not playing well, and it's, you don't go to training next day, it's a proper slap in the face.
But this is the spiral that we're talking about. This is
exactly
it's a spiral. Of the downhill spiral of going, he's losing control of himself, of his performances, of his reactions. He's losing control of his future at Man United. And it's more alarming around these things about, actually, is he okay? Like, I know some people can say, like, no, don't make excuses and stuff like that. Listen, I've called out what I've seen on the pitch and why it's justified that we criticize these things, these situations, how he's playing. But when you look at the whole picture, he's starting to act sporadically now. He's starting to act out of character, out of turn. He's starting to speak when he shouldn't. He's doing things he shouldn't. Like, he's spiraling. He's spiraling, it seems to me. And you never know what's going on behind closed doors. And you should never, ever, 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 overlook that. You shouldn't.
Absolutely.
And I think it's okay to question his performances without doing that. I just think if you can articulate yourself well enough and you understand these things, and you're not just going to be sort of blindsided or tunnel visioned, you can get a grasp of this whole situation to go, all right, it's not just that he's shit, he's rubbish, get out of my club. Well, there's more to it than this. I know you can choose to put a full stop new paragraph there, because that's the furthest you might want to speak about it. Okay, that's fine for you. But if you are going to discuss Marcus Rashford, I think you have to do it holistically, because there is so much going on that's wrong, which does usually lead us to, well, I say us, I speak for me. I know you just said it, Owen, and anybody else who agrees with this. It leads us to the conclusion of, I think it's best that we go separate ways. But then, like I said, I look at that and I don't even know what that looks like for him.
Yeah, well, I don't. And also, like you say as well, it's just when you see, when we see him play and we go, man, his body language looks off, and it's almost like it almost separates itself from a football match. His body language just looks off.
He doesn't look right.
And then you see stuff like this, and maybe you can read too much into it. But like you said, the timing of the tweet, like 12:30 at night, you go, why are you up? And then why, like you said, why they've not added him, they've just said his name in it. So like, are you vanity searching your name? Like what's going on? Like, it just seems quite erratic behavior that matches his body language on the pitch as well. And you come to the conclusion, just go, maybe this is getting more than football now. Like again, he needs, like I said, time out the spotlight. You need time out the spotlight. You need time away from it all. Maybe you just need to get away from Manchester United. Maybe you need to get away from this. Maybe it's getting too much. I mean, you spoke about on the Flex and KG show this week, and I thought it was a really good point when you were saying that with Marcus Rashford, the problem's almost become is that because of all of the other stuff, that's, with the positive things that he's done, obviously, right, during the pandemic, and the Marcus Rashford brand, is he's been put up on this pedestal, been put up into this stratospheric level of fame that almost his ability is never going to match as a footballer. So because there's always that gap between who Marcus Rashford is, the celebrity, the brand, and then the level of performance that he can never really probably reach that. And if he does, it might just be a purple patch of form. Then he's always going to be like into this. It's always going to be criticism. It's always going to be scrutiny, and then everything else is going to come with it. And it just looks like maybe he can't handle that. And if that is the case, that's not a bad thing. But the bad thing would be then you can't keep staying in that environment then, because this environment is bad for you. You need to get out. You need to get out, and you need to get away from it as well.
Yeah. I will say this. There is over 2,000 people watching live at the moment, and 300 likes. So as Owen Style Advisor says there, UV fam, hit the like button. So many of you guys watching live with over 2,000. I mean, 500 is a bare minimum, guys. I think we can do a lot more than that. I think we could do more than 500, but let's get 500 in the bag. Forget the 250. That's long gone. We've got over 2,000 people watching. So yes, please do smash a like on the video, and make sure you subscribe to United View if you haven't done so already. Be part of the family. You can join a membership as well. Loads of people have joined that. Get you exclusive perks, exclusive content, your exclusive emojis, and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, big up to anybody who's part of the members group / club. There's a ton of super chats to get through. Shyam says his excuse could be his excuse could be that he's carrying an injury for the season, but if he did, he should have just dropped himself out. Look where we are as a fan. Does he like it? So, if there is something going on where it's like he's because remember the thing happened with his shoulder that time, didn't it? Remember when he was postponing the
surgery,
the operation. Then he went to the World Cup, or was that the Euros? Then I think it could have been the Euros.
I think it might have been the Euros. Then he missed the start of Ollie's last season, didn't he? But then and then he struggled that season a lot as well, didn't he? And then he's meant to be fully fit. It was
he's there's been things like that in the past, but you're saying also though, just take yourself out of the equation. Don't play Superman. Don't play superhero. If you can't do it. Avi says should replace Rashford with a Prem proven winger. 8 goals and 3 assists. Oh wait, what is Rashford? It's not as simple to get rid of guys, because who else? Who do you get? All Elite says, as Brendo says in the chat, he must not confuse criticism for abuse. I've only seen the massive criticism that has been warranted. Let him go. It's okay. Yeah, I mean, we're not naive enough to know that people don't abuse him, which is wrong. But everything I see, stuff we discuss on this channel, we're not abusive here on United View. The community's not. A lot of Man United fans are not. They just criticize his performances. Nathan says, what he receives from United Stand usually is abuse and not criticism every single time. Always questioning the boys' love for the club, which is absolutely idiotic. And you guys do it too. Look, I don't watch the United Stand to know enough like what they do day in, day out when they talk about Rashi. I don't know, so I can't comment on that. I don't know. I don't know what Beth says. I don't know what Mark says. I don't know what Faz says or whoever else says it. I don't know. That's on them. What I do know for us, because you said that we do it too, all I could do is completely disagree with you, Nathan, to be honest with you. One, if you've just watched what me and Owen have said for 28 minutes, that should give you an insight as to how we feel about it together. And I don't know, like if you've seen previous stuff on the channel and previous things here, we're not them guys. That's just not how we are. It's not how we conduct ourselves. So I don't know. If you feel that, I don't know what you've seen to make you think that, but it's not us. It's not how we conduct ourselves, and it's not how we ever would conduct ourselves. But yeah, that's all I can say to that, really. I just disagree. Jason's Music Lab says, don't forget the tweet was at 1 a.m. Go to bed, which we were talking about, sort of 12:30 again. Scar says, it's like he doesn't realize he's on 350k a week. That is superstar money, and this is a superstar. This is superstar spotlight. Yet he's an average player. I think he says impossible situation. Milan says, guys, I agree. Criticism is not abuse. He has been shit, though, since the last game. A fan calling him Trashford went viral and people backed that fan. That's a form of abuse. You have to call that out. That's because I did see that. Adam done a vid with Barbara. Shout out Barbara, actually. I remember interviewing her right back in the day. Just done one of her first interviews on United View to Barbara. And she said that. Yeah, she did say that. And people were like, oh, yeah. So again, that is a form of like, yeah, when you start calling him names and calling him trash, some people go, well, he is trash. He's not good. Me personally, I would never call him that. I just think that's rude, disrespectful, and just away from what it is that we need to talk about. I know Babs personally. I've known her for years. I was actually quite surprised to see her say that, actually. She is red through and through. She's been going for absolutely years. Do I agree with her saying that, though? No, I don't. I don't agree with her saying that. I don't think she should have said Trashford. I completely disagree with that whole term, that whole phrase. I think is wrong. So, yeah, Milan, you have got a point there. That is when you start to cross the line. We see it on social media. I get that. Even Wajid said the other day in a fan roundup, I don't know if you saw that, against after Sheffield United game, he just pivoted to Rashford and said, I just want to say also, Rashford should not be near this team, shouldn't play. And I felt, I'd be honest, I just felt, oh, well, he didn't play today. He's out injured. And some people have tried to say that, the reason why we played well against Sheffield United is because Rashford didn't play. I push back on that and say, look, we played bottom of the league, rock bottom of the league at home. We might well have won that game exactly the same fashion if Rashford had played. I think it's really difficult to just say, because Rashford wasn't there, that's why we won 4-2. We played the shittest team in the league. That's not a good measuring stick.
I think it can be. It can be partially accurate. You could say maybe we looked more fluid with him, but like you said, the bigger example of that would be in the games to come if he doesn't play, wouldn't it? So anything's difficult to judge when you play bottom of the league, isn't it? And then, like you said, with the name things, like you say, I myself wouldn't do that. Other people will. But that's when you get back into that territory, like we were saying earlier, going, there's a line, isn't there? There's a line. And for me personally, I think if you keep it to football, then you're always going to stay pretty well clear of that line. Once you get into the name territory of, specific names or what have you, then you get quite close to that line. And for me, that's when you kind of, you can almost invalidate your opinion a little bit, because it can get away from football and you go, well, now we're getting into like just saying things for the sake of saying things. So, but everyone says it differently, don't they? I suppose we can't control that, unfortunately.
Yeah, and even in the chat, people disagree with that. It's got different. AW says, so you can call him shit, but can't say Trashford. How does that add up? And that's the thing. You're either talking about his footballing ability and talking about why it doesn't fit with the team or why you want him to move on, or dissecting the things that are lacking in his game, or you're just going to add trash onto the other bit of his name because it rhymes with rash, so you just make fun of his name. Like, it's his whole family name. Like, to me, I just wouldn't do that. I just wouldn't. If you do that, that's up to you. I'm just saying, I'm not on that, and that's fine. We agree to disagree, but I think you start to lose your point. Like, I just think if you have something to say about his game, make your point about his game. Like, what's it got to do with his family name? I don't get that personally. Maybe it's a me thing. Maybe it's an us thing. Or maybe we're wrong, but we're not going to change on that. David G says Rashford getting the same abuse Lukaku got when the fan base got onto him in his last season with us. He was getting cussed constantly. Needs to go. Lil Yo-Yo, been a member for 20 months. Shout out, Lil Yo says he's either not listening to or is ill-advised. Hope he fixes up or has a fresh start. Sometimes legit competition freshens you up. Maybe another forward helps. Yeah, take him down a peg. You're not an automatic starter. There's this other young kid who's playing ahead of you, which could be Garnacho next year, the way it's going.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Nihal says, hi, Flex. It's great seeing you after many years. It's been a while since United Stand. It was great seeing you and Robbie in Qatar during the World Cup. Much love and good luck. This is a quality channel. Big up to you, Nihal. Thank you, bro. I really appreciate that, man. I hope you're doing well as well, man. Hope you're doing well. Shenanigans says, United Muppeteers hinted the other day that he backs Rashford because of news he can't reveal and people don't know. I think he's more injured than we think. And again, Some people might have inside info. Some people might think different things. Some people, may go, I just, something's not right here. I'm backing him the whole way through. He'll come through this, and it'll be fine. It's all about opinion. Big shout out to the Muppeteers as well. Harry says, unfortunately, football commentary and digital anonymity these days has enabled abuse. I do agree with that. Players can't even distinguish between criticism and abuse. That's a good point, because you are just seeing things like that. Nathan says, I hope you guys know that your team's outlet doesn't do that much running on the pitch. Look at Leal, Salah, and any other team that has that kind of player on their team. Arna says, it is the responsibility of the manager to bench or take out a player out of form and help him find that form again. And the house says, hi Flex, great seeing you and Robbie in Qatar in the World Cup. Big up for the content and quality analysis. PS, you missed my previous super chat. Oh, you thought there you go. Okay, I'm with you. We drop a like on that one now. We saw both of them. Big up to you, bro. Aslan, been a member for 5 months, says pressure bust pipe. That's my saying. That's right. It does. Nathan, been a member for 15 months, says morning everyone. Spread joy where you can. Big up to the whole United View team and family. About to enjoy my pancakes. Hopefully
Delicious.
we can get 3 points tomorrow. Glory, United View. And Andy H says 2 months to 2 years. Big up United View. Do you think next time you see Marcus Flex, just remind him he is loved by us. He is one of our own. Yeah, well, next time I see him, I don't know what he's going to do, really. He just usually walks past me, to be honest. But yeah, I will try. So much people watching. 2,200, 480 likes. So we're nearly at 500. So
750. That's the way to go. Even 1,000, 50% of you, less than 50% of you can click the like button, and we can get to 1,000 likes for a morning show. Look at that. So much going on,
Yes,
Flex. We've barely scratched the surface.
Exactly. And Celeste says, big up to United View team. Enough love. I've been a member for 10 months as well. A lot of members here in the chat, actually. Not just that are doing members chats, but I can see them in the regular chat there as well. So many members. We've got a big membership group, big community. So yeah, do join if you would like to. Dan Ashworth.
I know. Dan Ashworth.
Well, this is spicing up, isn't it?
Yes, Arbitration Ashworth. Yes, very interesting stuff. This came from David Ornstein from The Athletic, to drop the bomb yesterday. He said, I know it's midday and I know you might be busy, but time to log on to Ornhub. Yes. And he said that Dan Ashworth is set to take Newcastle United to arbitration to help facilitate his move to Manchester United. Newcastle was seeking as much as £20 million in compensation, but with Manchester United unwilling to meet that figure, the matter is now on course to be decided by a third party. Ashworth will be supported by Manchester United in a case anticipated to start in May and last a number of weeks. Now, and a bit more of an update from this comes from the Telegraph, saying that Newcastle have been demanding around £15 million plus £5 million in add-ons for Dan Ashworth. Manchester United have been proposing a compensation around the £2 million mark, a similar fee to Newcastle that they paid to prize Ashworth away from Brighton. It's also been stressed there is zero chance of Manchester United paying over £10 million in compensation for the future sporting director of Manchester United. It was a bit of a surprise to see this one yesterday, Flex. But I mean, I kind of get it, because they're so far apart in negotiations, that you can maybe think that Dan Ashworth might just go, let's get this to a third party then. Let's get this to a third party and see what they rule. Because I would think, and look, we don't know what's in Dan Ashworth's contract. That must be stressed, because if there is something in Dan Ashworth's contract that kind of explicitly states it's got to be 10, 15 or 20 million, then where can Man United kind of go, really, there, or with the guardian leave or what have you. But an independent third party, which is meant to be one arbitrator is, might just go like, let him work, 5 million. That's something like that. That might be what it is. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, for me, I think the fact that they're going there shows. I mean, they're going to be well advised. These people. So Jim Ratcliffe will be well advised. Dan Ashworth will be well advised in terms of speaking to your lawyers to find out what's my chances if I go there. Yeah, absolutely. You've got every chance, because this is what Newcastle are doing is ridiculous. They only paid 3 million for you, mate, only a year or so ago, 18 months ago, whatever
Get
it
an
was.
employment lawyer.
And now
see what happens.
let's. I'll tell you what. There's something there. Yes, the 2 million that you've gone in with is probably not fair, but it should be nowhere near 20. They're taking the piss. Let's go to the arbitration of sport because we need a second pair of eyes on this. This is not right. Because remember, this isn't Newcastle going there. It's not them. It's not them saying Man United won't pay us this and we deserve it, so let's go to the court. No, it's not. It's Dan Ashworth saying, going over his contract. He'd be an idiot to not look at his contract properly, work out what he really mandatory must do in this situation, look at it, see what he's banged to rights on, and go, no, I'm going to go to the arbitration court. Of sport. He must have something or been advised on something where it's like, no, you got a good chance there because they will sort this out. And it's whether, like you said, they go, Newcastle, you're being ridiculous. In fact, it's illegal what you're about to do. Like you can't even do that. So you have to pay this or you have to pay that. Or again, which I think would be really silly and embarrassing if Dan Ashworth does go through, well, he's going to go through this. If at the end of these weeks of deliberating, they go, well, yeah, Newcastle got it right, mate. It says it there. Clause 4.6, page 4. What
yeah, I mean, it must be stressed. It must be stressed. Like arbitration is the way to not have it in the court. So again, this is like out of court settlement, third party. It's not even mediation. It's just an independent third party looks over
so courts both. Are wrong. Courts are wrong.
Looks over both sides and just goes, as an independent third party with no stake in the game, allegedly is what they're meant to be anyway. This is my ruling. This is what you're going to have to do.
Well, and then you could so as I've got a better understanding. Then it's like you get that, and then you could say, right, I've got that from the arbitrary. Now I might actually go court then because I've got. No, I don't think
it's an out of court sort of kind of settlement.
So if they say you should do this, and Newcastle just say no, then it doesn't mean anything.
Well, this is going to be the interesting thing with it because Newcastle's point of view will be that, well, he's got this amount of a notice period. This is his gardening leave. We think that either. Because this is the crux of it. Manchester United are saying, how much is it going to take for you to accept for us to buy you out of your gardening leave? Essentially, is there even going to be a threshold in his contract for that? Probably not, right? So, it's going to be interesting. I mean, whether or not, again, Newcastle decide to adhere to it, it's going to be very curious. I think. I put it this way: I don't think an arbitrator is going to recommend £20 million for a sporting director. That is never going to happen. It'll probably be something like 5 million, maybe. They might even come to a thing where it's like, okay, if you give this, he doesn't start till this date or something like that. But I think also as well, do both parties, this is what's weird about it as well. I think both parties have to agree to it as well. I'm not sure. It's very we're getting into into legalese UK employment law stuff, but it certainly is a significant step. The reason why it's a significant step, of course, is because it's not going anywhere. Right? Big up Rich, who I think does know quite a lot of stuff about this, says if you go to into an arbitration, both parties agree to be bound by the decision of the arbitrator. So it's a cheaper, private, and less confrontational ideally way of sorting out the argument.
So they agree. Say that again? So they agree that actually what these people say will go.
Yeah, if you both agree to it. But again, it depends on how strong you think your case is, I would suppose. If Newcastle think, no, we've got nothing, we're fine. We're fine. So they're going to rule in our favor. And maybe look, Newcastle might be thinking look, we know we're not going to get 20 million for Dan Ashworth.
So hold on. Sorry. So one second. Sorry, just quickly. You learn something new every day. This is, there's clearly a lot of people in the chat who understand this process. I know, Owen, you're quite knowledgeable about stuff like this. I want to be a sponge and soak this in. So
the only reason I'm a little bit knowledgeable is because something happening in the wrestling world. It's literally just about going to an arbitrator at the moment.
Right. Okay. So perfect. So let me pick your brains because I'm not really.
But even that, I'm not the best expert on it, must be said.
Yeah. Okay. But how you understand it, and people in the chat, or if people are Googling while we're doing it, so if whatever the arbitrator says should be the outcome, are we saying that even to go there, both parties have had to say right, well, we're going there? Or does Dan Ashworth, because it's only him who wants to go there, Newcastle must attend, they must go because someone's
again, it depends.
Could they say, we ain't going, mate?
from my understanding, it would depend what's in the writing of an original agreement. So the stuff in the rest of all that I'm talking about, there could be like an arbitration clause when they say this matter, if it's disputed, must go to an arbitrator or something like that. That's my understanding of it. And both sides, and if they've signed that agreement, then that would be a suggestion that both sides have agreed to go to an arbitrator. And as Rich is saying, I think going into it, you say like we're going to abide by the ruling. But that would depend again what's in the original language. I would assume, is there something in his contract that says, oh, if I want to leave, you see those massive contracts, this is your notice period, disagreement, blah blah blah. Then it can go to an arbitrator, I guess. But I don't know whether or not this speeds things up. It might just be, like I said, it might just be Newcastle just delaying things. It's been like, again, we know we're not going to get 20 million. We're pissed off because we thought he was going to be our guy, and you've jumped to Manchester United. We know that if this goes to this next step, we'd probably get like 5 or 6. But in the meantime, we stop him going to Manchester United immediately. He might go at a later date. Yeah, we do get some. Yeah. We do get some money. Oh, and by the way, in that meantime, while we're looking around, we can find our replacement, because I think they said like Dougie Freedman, something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, from away from just the technicalities of the arbitrary, which, like I said, I'm not clued up on like that. It does, the fact that he's willing to go there, just that fact means that, like you said, clearly, actually, more to the point, they're miles away in valuation, and he feels that he's been not treated fairly in this, like they're being unreasonable. And we know that as well because Sir Jim even told us he feels that they're being unreasonable and it's quite stupid what they're doing in childish about the gardening leave. And then he even done it after the marathon, talking about more gardening leave. So he's clearly pissed off with it. They clearly think that Newcastle are taking the piss. That's clear to see. And like I said, Sir Jim Ratcliffe will have his lawyers and people who advise him. So will Dan Ashworth. And the fact that they've all decided that this is the right step to take, because normally you just carry on negotiations, say, we'll get there, it's fine, we'll get there. Now they're like, no, let's step this up then. That clearly is a step up in.
And they think, and they're like, because, obviously getting involved, lawyers, legal fees, whatever, it's expensive, but they're going, this is cheaper. This is cheaper than splashing out all this millions of pounds and doing these negotiations. And certainly sometimes these things can take a little bit of time as well. And they're going, this is the quicker option as well, which probably says a lot about the sort of stalemate that they find themselves in at the moment. Yeah,
a couple more chats. I'm going to say Nokbixthia Duma. Sorry if I've pronounced your name wrong, bro. But thank you for being a member for 21 months, by the way. And do correct me on how to say your name properly. I apologize for saying it wrong. Says the problem really is a lot of these players live a celebrity lifestyle, surrounding themselves with people who just nod and prop them up. It's sad, man. Bunch of yes men. You don't want that, do you? Milan says worked on Cass case before. If they say, example, 5 million, that is the final decision, it will be a quick case because the requested by Newcastle is absurd. Okay, so Milan saying it's worked in that field before. If they say that the 5 million is decision, it'll be quick.
Again, that's what they said. So the arbitrator in the case could look at Newcastle's demands and be like, you're preventing this guy from working, you're stopping him from going into a new job, blah, blah, blah. This is wrong. We don't think that's right. But again, it does depend on, I think, sort of original language and what have you. Because there might, as part of his original agreement, this is kind of going into the one in the wrestling world at the moment, which is like, we agreed in our agreement, if there was a dispute, it would go to an arbitrator instead of going to court or what have you. And that's when you get into the territory of both sides possibly agreeing to it as well.
Yeah, because both sides surely won't want to go to court for this. It's kind of like something to threaten them with. Like, do you want to go through court through months and months and months of this in a proper actual court? Do you really want that? Come on, stop being silly. It's another way of doing that, I suppose. And lastly, I will say, it does show, it's really refreshing to see how much Dan Ashworth really wants to come to us, actually. I know we knew that already because he's on garden leave. He's not going back there, but it just shows like how desperate he is to come here. And, you talk about building a new culture of people who want to be here and people who want to help change us around. I mean, look, this guy's going tooth and nail. He's going, right up for it to be able to get here. So, 643 likes. We're nearly at 700, 2,200 people watching live as well. Do share the video. Do like the video. Let's get to 500. 500. Let's get to 750 before we get to the end of the show in around 10 minutes or so. So I think we can do that. We're pretty much nearly at 650. So not far off 100 more likes, and we're there. We're there. Bruno Fernandez.
Yes, a lot of talks about Bruno Fernandez because of obviously his performance against Sheffield United, but also his injury, and also some comments and quotes from Ian Wright and Roy Keane on the overlap. So let's get into this. First of all, a story came out from the Times saying that Bruno Fernandez broke his right hand against Coventry, but still insisted on playing against Sheffield United. The gesture was well received within Manchester United, where he is viewed as a resilient character and an inspirational leader. Bruno doesn't miss games, Flex. He never does.
Never does.
Now, this is the interesting stuff about Bruno Fernandez. So this was a debate from Ian Wright and Roy Keane on the overlap on their Stick to Football podcast. Ian Wright said, quote, "I think Bruno is a winner. He's frustrated. Whatever we say, he has his faults where he waves his arms, but he's that kind of player that's trying to change things." Now, Roy Keane said he's won nothing in his career. He's 29 years of age. What has he won in his career? Ian Wright said he's won nothing, but irrespective of wanting to be a winner, his standards are high. If you take Bruno out of Man United, we're talking about players who haven't improved. If he's not doing what he's doing, United are nowhere near where they are. He's frustrated. He probably sees it in training every day. People not up to the standards of what he's looking for, and it spills over into a Saturday. He also continued by saying, but he still brings it. When we say about his histrionics, he brings it. If Man United are saved in a game, it's probably him who's going to do it. He's got every right to be upset with them because they should be doing better. Now, Roy Keane then said, "I think he's a talented boy, but does he help people out, and does he make others around him better? The answer is 100% no. He does like to dig them out, which is fine, but you've also got to drag the others along. Would you like to be in that Man United dressing room today with these guys going, not sure about him? I think he's okay when we're winning, but we're not going to be winning every time. How do you stop that momentum and flex your muscles in games? That's what I want. We talk about talented players, but sometimes it's about personalities in big games and getting you over the line in big games." And then they just started going back and forth to each other. Ian Wright said, Bruno has got that. Keane says, where is the evidence? Where is the evidence? Wright said, the way he plays and the way he saves the club. Keane said, saves the club. Look, he's won nothing in his career. He's won nothing in his career. Look at his CV. If he's one of your best players, there's a responsibility. So certainly there, Flex, a lot of back and forth between Ian Wright and Roy Keane on Bruno Fernandez. What did you make of the back and forth? What did you make of the debate? And also, I mean, he broke his hand, played on Wednesday. We knew that because he never misses games. That is one thing you cannot fault Bruno Fernandez for, his availability and putting himself through the pain barrier. But what did you make of what Roy Keane and Ian Wright said?
Also, as a poll, there was Keane too harsh on Bruno. This will divide opinion. This will divide an opinion because Bruno hasn't been a serial winner throughout his career. He's not. He didn't arrive at Man United sort of with what Casemiro's got in his locker or in his medal cabinet or what Varane has in his, etc., etc. Serial winner. So I think Ian Wright's words of he's a winner, he meant like wants to win games. I think not he's a. Have you seen his trophy cabinet? Have you seen what this guy's won? But Roy Keane, coming from where he comes from and what he's about and what he's done in his career. If you say the W word in front of him in terms of winner,
you mean trophies?
Wins,
you mean trophies? That's
it
a
means
winner.
Medals, mate. That's all that is to me. Don't tell me about winning. I've not seen him lift hardly anything. He's won a Carabao Cup here at United. What else has he done? So Keane's coming from that standpoint. But I am with Ian Wright a lot though, because it's like, is Bruno without Bruno, like Man United would be in the mud, like worse than this. There are questions about his playing style, and there are questions about how he keeps the ball. But I do think the slander on him is way too much for somebody who turns up every single game, puts numbers on the board, and affects games more than likely. And that's where Ian Wright is right. If Man United are playing shit, you can only really look to one person who's going to do something, and it's usually him. It's usually him, whether he gets given a penalty and has to dispatch it, still got to score it, whether it's something out of nothing, whether it's a pass to unlock someone. And is he the sort of leader who galvanizes the team on the pitch and makes everybody better. I get that. He's probably not. He's probably not. But there are other times where he is clapping, he is encouraging. I just think Bruno's he's weird. He's a better leader when things are going right than when they're going wrong. But he turns up every week. He puts his all in. He gets what it is to be at the club. And I do think the scrutiny's been too much. Now, look, that's not to say that I think that the team should still be based around him and, it's perfect. Like, he's been absolutely brilliant. Why is everyone because, by his standards, we were saying he's having a bad season. But then you look at the numbers yesterday, he's put 15 and 11 or whatever it is. It's like, he's up there. And Odegaard plays the game in a completely different way. And you could say you'd much rather have Odegaard. Look how good he is. Look how he's playing, keeps the ball. But numbers-wise, he's up there with all of them all the time. So, look, I think it's okay to criticize him if he's not playing well. It's okay to criticize his playing style, making stupid decisions and giving the ball away and being too petulant. But overall, to hound him out and act like he's, the worst here. And also what I would say, if Bruno is surrounded by top level players, I think he can be a cherry on the top. He can be.
Bruno's just an interesting one anyway, isn't he? Because we were talking about this before we went live. Bruno can play terribly and still score 2 goals in a game. And then you get into the debate of, stats versus performances, don't you? Because Bruno, and this is kind of Ian Wright's point, if Man United score a goal in a game, 9 times out of 10, there is some sort of Bruno Fernandez involvement. There is most of the time. Whether it's an assist, whether it's a goal, whether it's the pass before the pass, he is involved 9 times out of 10. And to that point, then you go like, well, without him, then you are going to be in trouble. You're going to be in trouble. I think Roy Keane's point of view is like Roy Keane, when you're talking about a captain, he's the ultimate, isn't he? He's the ultimate captain of leading by performances, leading by standards, and, big performances in big games and what have you. And I think maybe that's how he looks at Bruno, because he goes like, well, is it one thing to do it against bottom of the table Sheffield United? Do it in a big game. Do it when you're playing Manchester City. Do it when you're playing whoever. I think also he's maybe talking about, when he's talking about Bruno digging up the players, there's a difference of opinion. Ian Wright's going, well, he's putting his hands up in the air because he's frustrated with his teammates' ability because their ability isn't good enough, which is not accurate because Bruno Fernandez will misplace a pass and then have a go at a player.
Yeah,
and you go, that's on you. And that's where he does need to taper it down. So I think, to be honest, that debate just perfectly sums up Bruno Fernandez. And I don't know if that debate's ever going to be resolved or that people are going to be ever on the same page of that one, because there are going to be people that say that Bruno is vital, fundamental. We talk about availability. My goodness me, in a season decimated by injury, he always makes himself available, and that is a quality of a captain, isn't it? Of someone that's always there, put themselves through the pain barrier for the badge. You can't ask for more than that. But on the flip side, what's your definition of a captain? Is your definition of a captain someone that, like I said, is sometimes petulant, can be just shocking. I mean, absolutely shocking. And because he plays every single game, sometimes it's to a detriment because he doesn't come off the pitch as well. That's also part of it. So it is an interesting one. But to say, well, what's he won in his career? A lot of that team at Man United ain't won jack shit.
Which is his point.
Anything that that squad has won in their career, most of it wasn't at United. We're talking about the proper serial winners in Varane and Casemiro. It's because they played for Real Madrid, not because they played for Man United, right? So, yeah, it's an interesting one. It's a very interesting one. It's a good debate though, because I think you get into the territory of stats versus performances. We get into that territory of eye test again, don't we, and personality types.
Yeah, no, I agree. And listen, Keane's always going to come from a whole different way. Like his view on football and where it is insane. Like, it really is. Like he's been there and done it.
And also with Keane, when he's being petulant, would you rather petulance or would you rather, stamp on someone to get sent off? But then, would you rather have a captain that wins Premier League trophies because he's one of the best players in the world, which is what Roy Keane is, one of the greatest midfielders ever, one of the greatest captains ever as well. So I think with everyone, you take the rough with the smooth, don't you? With Roy Keane, you took the rough, which was, look, in some games, he could be a liability because you get sent off.
You get sent off, yeah.
You don't know what you're going to get. with Bruno, the rough is he's petulant, and some games he's shit. But then the good with Roy Keane is that he showed up in the big games.
The real leader, man.
Real leader. Picked his teammates up when his teammates weren't performing. He still performed.
Dragged the team through his ones.
Absolutely.
But sometimes Bruno does that. It hasn't led to us winning the top honours. The reason why I can't talk to Keane is because he's dragged the team through to win top honours. So you can't see him. And Bruno, again, what will Bruno do now? Would he come out swinging to a club legend and be like, oh, can't believe it? No, keep quiet. Just keep playing your games, mate. Like, the fans love you. It's fine. Like, Keane's just going to have his... and Keane, to be fair to Keane, he does still say he's a wonderfully talented boy. He's a top player. Like, he's not talented. Keane didn't say he's rubbish.
Yeah,
you know,
I think both of them in this argument, I think both make really valid points. Valid points. And we get into that territory of like two things can be true at the same time.
He won? He ain't won that well. He's won a couple of Super Cup with Real Madrid. He's won the Spanish Cup. Nothing at Arsenal. He's won the Charity Shield at Arsenal. He's an amazing exactly. He's an amazing captain. You know, so look. Just because he's younger, look, at the end of the day, look, Bruno is an integral part of this team and still will be in the coming years. And the hierarchy will know that whether, something changes with who the manager is or not. So we'll see. We got to 713 likes towards the end as a super chat or members chat I'm going to read out. Let's get to 750 because we are pretty much wrapping up here. Keegan says, unpopular opinion, I'll pay Newcastle the money today. If his credentials are anything to go on, then he saves us more money on transfers than we spend on him. And Keegan says he'll pay the money himself. Keegan has the spare 15 to 20 million and will pay it himself.
Keegan's got big money.
Yeah, exactly. Harry says if Roy did not win titles, his style as captain would have been criticised. Biggest Bruno problem is United has not won anything. Yeah, but you can't.
But when we get into this,
he has won loads. Roy Keane is one of our greatest ever captains because he won loads of stuff.
Yeah. Whenever this argument comes up with this kind of stuff, I saw like when people went, Kyle Walker, if he weren't quick, he'd be rubbish. You go, but he is. You know,
and he's been quick his whole life.
with Wayne Rooney, if you take away his goals, what's his Man United legacy? You go, but he is the record goal scorer, so it's kind of you can't really do that.
You can't. I was saying this to Joel the other day. It was that sort of thing. It's like he was saying about Rodrigo. That was it. He said because Joel's stupid when he was like, "Oh yeah, Saka's even better than Rodrigo, whatever." And we was starting to talk about it in the office, and he was like, "Yeah, but if he was playing for Arsenal, would he be doing what Saka's doing?" I said, let's just take away the fact that he's so good that from so young he had to play for Real Madrid. Let's just take that out. Let's take that out. Like, it's mental. Because honestly, Joel, disgrace cheat. We got 726 likes. That's a good point. I mean, we can get 25 more on the way out, guys. Thank you for watching. It's been a big show. In fact, let's end that poll. 61% of you do think that Roy Keane was being too harsh on Bruno to the 39% who don't think that. So I would say that's fairly fair. Ian Wright is right, says someone there in the comments. The point is context matters as well. What have we got today? We'll have the preview for the game tomorrow. So looking forward to that. The presser and things that he would have said in the presser, they're just going to be...
I would have thought that would have been done after the game on Wednesday.
But knowing us, that means it will probably get done live at 12:30.
Yeah.
Do you know what, Owen? I think there would be a separate presser. The game's tomorrow. They'll probably just go carry and do a whole presser today.
Well, with Eric Ten Hag's feelings on the media at the moment, I think maybe not. I don't want to talk to you.
I know. I know. Yeah,
maybe not.
We'll see. And of course, the Trinity at 6 p.m. as well. So don't forget that. Loads of content coming to you today as well. So we'll see you later on. Loads coming. Have a good day. Take care. Peace.